Good boy. Good boy.
I shouldn't be talking on camera.
Okay. No, you should be talking on camera. That'll be really funny, actually.
Hey Jack, Mommy's gonna start cooking the show, okay? I don't know what that means, but it's something I need to do apparently.
Tell Mommy I like the show well done.
Okay. And stuff. Alright. Whoops. Okay. Are you ready? This is funny, eh? Okay.
So, when you're preparing your steak, rule number 1 is always make sure you take it out of the fridge at least 20 minutes before. If you don't do that, and you take a cold piece of steak and you put it on your cast iron pot, which is a must, you're sure to overdo your steak because it's gonna take that much longer to cook. So after about 20 to 30 minutes, you have a nice like room temperature steak. Also, equally as important is that you gotta dry all the moisture off your steak, because if you don't do that, then you're gonna boil your meat. So for you to get that nice crust and that perfect cook, you need to make sure it's completely dry. See? Just like that. Now, there's 2 ways you can do the next step. Some cooks, some home cooks, some chefs like to put salt directly on the steak and pepper directly on the steak, pat it in, and then add oil to their pan. The way I like to do it is a little bit different. I like to put a little bit of oil directly on my steak. I'll take a brush it in. Don't be afraid of salt. Steak needs it. Steak needs it to tenderize the steak for all kinds of reasons, okay? So just be very liberal with your salt. And you're gonna flip it over. You're gonna do exactly the same thing. You're gonna put a little bit of oil. Brush it in, like so. And again, like it's Christmas, guys. Put salt on the steak like it's Christmas. Like that's all this steak wants, is just a ton of salt, okay? And then some pepper. Now you got it ready. Second step is the cast iron pan. But honestly, like a good old cast iron pan is a must for searing any type of meat. And you can see like mine is pretty worn and torn. You're not really supposed to put soap on your cast iron. You're supposed to wash it gently with warm water and then put oil on it. The reason that you do that is so that whatever you've pretty much made over the years, the iron like soaks in all that goodness. So everything you put on it is just gonna have that. That sounds pretty gross, I know it does, but it's really, really amazing. So we're gonna get this really hot, and then in the meantime, we are going to prepare our basting ingredients for the steak. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. All right. Step 3? Did I say step 1, step 2, or yeah? Okay. Okay, so step 3 is getting everything ready while you're sitting there drinking your wine, because I hope you're drinking wine, getting your pan really, really hot, we're gonna add some some flavors to our meat. So one thing that goes really well with steak is thyme. So I have some thyme here, and I'm gonna cut a bit of this off. And I have some rosemary right there. I'm gonna make a big mess. And I also have some crushed garlic right here. Cooking for so many years, I've never, like, this is so weird to me. I'm like, dig out the bulbs. Okay. Okay. So apparently, apparently we must take out the bulbs, which I didn't know until my good friend Basil told me, because it's indigestible.
So there you go. So I'm going to take this extra step just for Basil.
And I also have some crushed garlic right here and some butter.
Yummy.
We're not putting all that butter, but this is like your holy trilogy of seared steak right here. You're not going to put it in right away. You'll see how we go through the process when we get there. Look, it's
I got that on
film. Oh my God, Ready? It's going to set the house on fire. Jack, you might want to get out now, bud. Okay, because it's going to get really, really, really hot.
Okay. Do you see what's happening here? Burning hot.
So I just want you guys to pay attention to this one sound. If you put your meat in the pan and it doesn't sound like this, I want you to take it right off and wait. That is literally music to my ears. So it's gonna get really smoky in here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it in about 1.5 minutes. And after that 1.5 minutes, we're gonna add our trilogy right over here. Now it's been 1.5 minutes, guys. I'm gonna flip it over. Woo! I had to burn the shit out of myself. I'm gonna do it for another 1.5 minutes. This is where you add your butter. Don't be stingy on the butter. You add your herbs. And you add your garlic. And you try not to burn the shit out of yourself at the same time. So a good trick is to actually pour everything away from you. Take your garlic, put it on the meat a bit. Don't move your meat around too much because you really want it to caramelize. And if you see it's getting a bit dry, add a bit more butter. Move it away from you. And then now, baste it. Let it sit. Oh my God, that smells amazing, eh? I'm going to take it, I'm going to flip it again, away from you. You're basically repeating the same step. Another important step at this point is to render the sides of your steak. So you can flip your steak and then just gently sear all the corners of your steak, especially where the fat is. Flip it over one more time. And this is definitely done, guys. Very important with steak. Just like chicken, just like with a lot of meats, is that you really must let it rest. Some people say 5 minutes, I say 10. And you just put it aside. Move your pan out of the way. because we're still gonna use all this good stuff in a sec.
Record for me, I swear to God, I have never meat in my life. And I'm like, today I want but I did it! I swear to God, I thought I was going to screw that up. And I didn't. Oh my God, thank God. Okay. Alright. Okay, so now we're like closing it up, right?
I know, that's what I said. I know. The best way to finish your steak, especially if you're Mediterranean, is, well, we pretty much put lemon on absolutely everything. Steak, eggs, you name it, lemon goes on it. So just once you're letting your steak rest, just put a little drizzle of lemon on top and then let it hang out. So what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna clean off our mushrooms. And I'm sure you've heard of this, or if you haven't, I'm glad I'm the one telling you, never ever wash your mushrooms with water. That is, anytime I see anyone take like a basket full of mushrooms and like pour a ton of water on it, I wanna cry, because you just take out all the flavor. So it's a bit of a tedious task, but if you have a nice glass of wine and your children aren't flipping their shit all over the place, you can just gently wipe your mushrooms clean. Like, don't be so afraid of dirt. Like, everybody's so afraid of dirt, but you know, like, just don't pour water on them. So we're gonna clean our mushrooms. We're gonna chop them up. And I am going to use the same cast iron pan that I used for the steak. I'm gonna saute a bit of butter. I'm gonna put a little herb blend here. Now in this blend, there's chili peppers, there's some dried herbs and dried garlic. I'm going to just lightly toast the herbs, and then I'm gonna throw in the mushrooms, saute them, not for long because I don't want them to be mush. I still want them to have some texture to them. So I'll probably saute them for, I cook the way I feel, so it's really hard for me to give you guys a time, but like probably less than 2 minutes. I just really wanna warm them through. Salt, pepper. Another thing with mushrooms is that you always wanna add your salt and your pepper at the end. Not during, because it takes out all the water. So once I'm done, I am going to just pour it on this bed of arugula. I'm gonna squirt a bit of lemon on top, and we're gonna serve that alongside the steak, and it's gonna be a perfect dinner, I promise. Okay?
I like pepper.
Oh my goodness. So Jack is insisting that he help us today, which I cannot encourage him more to get your kids involved in cooking. There is nothing better. Don't touch this, it's super hot. Okay, we don't want to go to the hospital today. But if you can get your kids, do you see what he just did? I just said don't touch it. And he went, okay. You can get your kids involved in cooking. It's such a great thing. Like, one way that I get Jax to eat his breakfast is if he makes his own scrambled eggs. And just like, you know, you just like cultivate that habit, which is super amazing and super healthy, because there's nothing I want more than my sons growing up and making me dinner.
Smile, look at you, Jax.
So you know when you know that your food's good is when there's total silence.
Bak.